We were recording new Preludes today. My wife played Fall Guys. It was a lot of fun. She actually got obsessed with it and wouldn't hand the controller back to me. Yeah, she was like, no, let me try again. I know I can get this. Let me try again. She's like, is there a way to just play one level until I'm really good at it? And I'm like, no, there isn't. I think you're missing the point right off the bat of what this is. All right, going in.
Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good, it's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Hello, my name is Zach Wright with Old Man Gaming. Welcome, dear listener. You have decided for whatever reason to tune into another Horrible Gaming Podcast. But I am not alone, and mostly I am never alone. With me is...
Neil, a.k.a. A Tiny Wizard.
A lot of A's there. A lot of A's.
It was a lot of A's.
All right, so we've got a terrible podcast to do for you guys, and we're going to kick this right off. But before we do, we got to do some credits. Number one, behind our ugly mugs, you're seeing a fancy custom graphic that was provided by Mr. Mark Bell. We thank him for that. And then, of course, the theme song for this show and all of the shows here at Old Man Gaming are provided by the man who makes the music, my brother, Nick Van Sliders. We thank him for that.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to the shop of the show. Taking it from the top. No, I'm just kidding. That brings us to the top of the show. The first segment, our most important segment, and that is Fanteraction. That's where we, the co-hosts, talk to you guys, the fans, and all the places you can make your comments. We read them out. We riff on them. We have very little to offer you guys. So one of those things is communication. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to communicate with you. And we had quite a few comments this last week. So let's get into it. Asylum 66. So Starfield is Mass Effect with a lot of empty planets and no entry and exit of planets. What's the point of designing your ship? Game is full of customization that doesn't matter. Go Bethesda!
That is one thing that's always just kind of drove me crazy about those sorts of games. Like the first person games, like you can do all this customization,
right?
But you don't see it, especially in like straight up single player. Yeah, I get it in like a multiplayer, so that way you can see, what somebody else's character looks like.
Yeah,
but like, yeah.
If I'm playing a game where I'm playing with other people regularly, okay, I get the customization. I'm totally with you. If I'm playing a first-person game, I still like customization just because I like to get into the character, but it definitely matters a lot less. And I think for that to be shown off as a feature of this game is a little weird. And the ship customization, I would like to see a little bit more on that, because while they have this really in-depth, cool ship customization, does it have any statistical benefit whatsoever? Because if it does, that's really cool. But if it doesn't, what are we doing here? Like, we're just playing with Legos. Like, that's
right.
I don't know.
That's what they did in the Kingdom Hearts games with the gummy ships. You could build your own ship, but like it actually mattered what you did because that affected your health,
right?
The defense, stuff like that. And I really hope that's something that they have with it, that it makes a difference overall in the ship. But I have the sneaking suspicion that it really
doesn't. That it doesn't. We need to see more. Yeah, especially with how much backpedaling he did his interview. Yeah. Going over to Jason. Plague Tale doesn't look interesting to me. I didn't care they announced a sequel. That was kind of our problem too. But unfortunately, there are people who care about that game. We probably should have talked about it more. He then says, you said State of Decay 2 was on all platforms, but it ain't. It's Xbox and PC, though I think it's on several PC stores. It is on several PC stores, so I don't remember actually saying that. I'm sure I did. I'm not questioning you. But I do apologize if I did say that it is an Xbox exclusive. Undead Labs is a Xbox studio, so you can get it on Game Pass, the Microsoft Store. You can get it on Xbox consoles. You can get it through Steam. I don't know if you can get it through Epic. That's the only thing I didn't look up. In fact, because I'm a responsible journalist, I'm just going to go ahead and type it.
Journalist.
We
use that very loosely here.
I try. You can, in fact, get it on Epic Store. So you can get it in all the PC places and Xbox for consoles. So continuing on, he says, I still need to finish Cyberpunk 77. Well, I don't think anybody needs to finish that game. So moving on. Jason still, I just can't get all that excited about things far in the future and or things with little or no information. Like I'm excited about State of Decay 2 Forever Communities. Oh, that looks so good. And Grounded full release. And to a smaller sense, Valheim on Xbox. It is still so far away next year. This is why I'm not excited about State of Decay 3. We know nothing about it. There's nothing to get excited about, and they're still giving us State of Decay 2 content. I have said repeatedly, I think the only reason we saw a State of Decay 3 trailer was because Xbox pushed them to put a trailer out. I think maybe they're in pre-production of it, but I don't think that they have any real focus on that right now. They are still releasing huge content updates to State of Decay 2. Right now, I don't actually even see a need for State of Decay 3.
Yeah, that's kind of like, I'm kind of leaning towards your idea there that they kind of forced them to put something out because you remember, too, Obsidian, with their announcement of Outer Worlds 2.
Yep.
The whole trailer was a joke about the fact that they have literally nothing to show you other than a logo and this thing exists.
Well, and that was the botched Xbox showcase, in my opinion. You had State of Decay 3, which there's no way. You had the Outer Worlds 2, and that was the one that they showed us the Fable for the first time, which none of these games even really exist. And I think Xbox was like, we got to have some big names, so we're going to make some trailers. I think they kind of forced these companies to put out trailers that they didn't necessarily need to, just to get the oohs and ahs, which, again, this kind of shit is the kind of shit that I hate. But I'm with you, Jason. These kind of shows, the things that get me excited are like Forever Communities, Grounded full release, games going into Game Pass. The Valheim thing did get me a little excited too, because it's something tangible, something I can play. I don't think that like those kind of announcements don't get me going anymore. And I don't think I think they're this is gonna sound dickish, but I think they're geared and engineered to get casual fans excited because they don't know better.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Yeah.
Because all the time, I work with a bunch of guys now who like are into gaming and stuff like that, but they may not be like super into everything. Like, oh man, did you see that they announced X, Y, and Z? And like, I kind of, I scoff a little bit because like, yeah, they announced it. You're not wrong.
And then we've got to be the dicks. That's the problem. Like every situation, we're the ones that like, yeah, they announced it, but let me tell you about that, because we got to approach it. Let me tell you why
it all sucks.
Just leave them their joy. Jason says, my favorite My Little Pony is Big Mac. I am actually not familiar with Big Mac, so can't help you there. Asylum66 says, stop it. We will see a holodeck, at least in baby form. Nothing anyone says will stop my belief. Dude, baby form of a holodeck is VR, bro. It's already in baby form. You've already seen it. But I'm going to tell you right now, it came with a lot of crap and a lot of stuff that's not great about it. So,
yeah, even still, like, the very brief aside with VR, it's not like super mainstream. It's slowly taking those steps, but a lot of the games that are out for VR are just like experiences not full-fledged games. So,
they've gone very heavy fitness too. Like if you watch any of the Meta Quest ads nowadays, it's all like log on and work out. You know, I will say that ad. I don't want to spend $400 for it, but that ad where you're boxing, that makes me want to play. Like, I would love to play a boxing game in that.
I will tell you, Beat Saber, like me playing Beat Saber was one of the funnest things I ever did. It brought back that joy of like Guitar Hero.
Right.
Only you feel like you're in an environment. It's just, you get queasy after a while.
Exactly.
If you wear glasses, it kind of sucks. Like, depending on the rig that you have, you may have to hook up to a PC, or you're sacrificing quality for a standalone headset. There's so many caveats to it right now. I still think it's like 5 years away from like a real reasonable viability.
I think we're farther than that away from a reasonable viability, and the reasoning is exactly what you said on the queasy. There is a sensory disconnect in your brain that happens because your brain receives information from you moving. And it receives that with a lot of different ways. Some of those are the fact that your legs are moving. So when you put on something that literally puts all your senses into this virtual world, then you start to float through that world without actually moving your feet. There is a disconnect there, and there always is going to be that until you find a way to make it feel like, to trick your body into thinking that your feet are moving.
Right.
And they have those 3D treadmills, but those things are literally $1 gazillion. Yeah. So like that's not a viable option. Until they have that viable option, it's just not realistic. And honestly, even the holodeck, let's face it, holodecks are cool, but they take up a lot of space too. You don't have room for a holodeck in your fucking house, man. Like it's just not realistic, and that's one of the biggest drawbacks of the VR. The biggest reasons that it's not taking off is you need a whole fucking room for it. And that's just not...
That was like the very early... God, I forget exactly what it was called. It was that ring for the Sega Genesis. Where it was a ring that you put on the floor, and you were supposed to like do motions that like basically like...
I wanted it so bad.
Yeah, that like registered as like moves. Like they showed a lot of the time like Mortal Kombat. Stuff like that. Even something like that, like DDR pads for like PS2, those take up so much space, and people just don't have that room.
Yeah. C-Town then jumps in and goes, a zone like you are used to, but it's open. So we are getting Super Sonic Brothers 64. You enter a zone that is open. Wonder what the hub world will look like. Yeah, it's not. I don't know. Sonic Frontiers. I don't know what to tell you. C-Town then also says, I call the next Elder Scrolls game will be released in 2024. There's no way it's going to be released in 2024. It will be half complete. Most of the game will need DLC. No bugs will be fixed because modders can do it, and the special edition will include half of what it advertises. But play for free and early on Xbox Game Pass. I mean, these are all good points, C-Town. I will say I don't think you're going to see... I think that game... If that game makes it to us before 2030, I'll be shocked. Be absolutely shocked. C-Town also then says, Pinkie Pie is the Deadpool of the MLPFIM. That stands for My Little Ponies, Friendship is Magic. Applejack for Life. No, I don't like Applejack. I like Pinkie Pie. Pinkie Pie's the coolest. Alright, so that's all fan traction, man. That's it. That's all the fan traction. There was a lot of fan traction.
Everybody came here for
everybody was
My
jumping
Little Pony talk.
Yeah, we did have a lot of My Little Pony. I don't know what happened there. It's actually
a weird turn.
Like, look, I would never like watch it, like binge watch it, but I've watched a couple of episodes over her shoulder, or like let her watch them while I'm in the room. It's really not the worst show that's ever existed. Like, they managed to get a lot of crazy lore in it. Like, there's just so much shit in My Little Pony that surprises me. Like, it's not just like cute little ponies playing like grab ass. Like they've I can't believe I just said that sentence. They have like wars and like all this weird history and prophecies and magic and dragons and monsters, and it's really crazy how much is jacked into that show. Like I said, I'd never just put it on and binge watch it, but I would definitely pick that over some of the other things she watches.
Well, all right.
Just saying. Just being honest. Being honest, people. That's what I do. Honesty and hypocrisy. Those are the two things you can expect at all times.
Two tenets that you come here for.
Two tenets.
Honesty and hypocrisy.
Yes. Two tenets of old man gaming.
Not too far off.
All right, so we are gonna have a show where we're gonna do kind of a year in review. We're about to hit the end of 6 months, so we are halfway through this year. We're gonna look at gaming, our favorite things about it, our biggest bungles of it. Just talk about it, and then we'll go into odds and ends and fight about stuff.
Yay!
Yay! So we'll be right back with that talking point.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to our talking points.
Slide right in there with that. I don't even know if that part of it's going to make it into this.
It's not. It was in the. I had this sign up already, so I couldn't go back.
It's too late.
We were arguing off screen. Maybe I'll put it as a bonus or something. All right. So our talking point today is year in review. We're about to finish the 6th month. We're halfway through 2022. Let's look at the ups, the downs, the downs, and then maybe some ups. Yeah. Let's look at it. So where do you want? You want to go positive or negative first, man?
Let's go positive, man.
Okay. All right. So bad taste in the mouth when we finish. Got it. Okay. So I've actually. So let's talk about what our game of the year so far are. I have been keeping a list because personally, I think while we've had a lot of downs this year, I think this has already been a banner year for releases, especially in the independent scene. They have come out with banger after banger, and I have been really enjoying a lot of the games. And while we're in a little bit of a lull right now, and I think the back half we're probably going to talk about a little bit in the nays, I think so far this first half of this year has been pretty fucking sweet for overall quality of releases. But I have a game of the year watch. Like, what's your game of the year watch so far?
Oh, man. Honestly, Horizon, 100%.
Really?
I've finally been able to, like, I was on vacation last week. I was able to get a little bit more in through that game. And it does just keep getting better and better. The storytelling is getting a little bit better. And while there's still nothing like super new and revolutionary, it's still in that phase of more of a good thing. I'm thoroughly satisfied with that. But like outside of that too, honestly, Tiny Tina's, I was expecting that to be pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't expecting it to hit the way it did. At least for me personally. I don't know. I mean,
you definitely seemed lukewarm on it when you first started playing.
Yeah, that's the thing is I did. I really did.
And then by the time we got to the Tiny Tina Fest, me and Phil were like, ah! And you were like, I actually like it.
It's like, oh, it's not too bad. I mean, granted, I have a broken ass build. And I still kind of do have a broken ass build. So, I mean, of course, it's fun for me. I'm wrecking shit left and right. But that's the name of the game.
The thing is, too, you play the game in a very different way than me and Phil play that game.
Also true.
I mean, and that's one of the reasons I think that we could look at it. Also, and I'm not trying to insult Phil's point of view at all. His point of view on Borderlands should be thought of as absolute as far as it goes, but his tastes have changed dramatically over this last year. He's way into CRPGs right now. Like they're his like Divinity and shit. Like he's like, yeah, he's all in on those games. So that might have influenced it too. I mean, I've had these moments, and it influenced me. At least, kind of, I'm speaking from my point of view because like I've had these moments where like every so often. When I first started playing games, I wanted nothing to do with open world. I wanted nothing big. I wanted nice 5-hour games that I could play through in a sitting, like comfort food, like a movie.
Yeah.
Max Payne 2 were my 2 favorite games of all time. the first game that changed that, and one of the reasons I still play it to the day and why it's so close to my heart is Skyrim changed that for me. That was the first game where I was like, anytime I boot this up, I can play it and see something new, like every time. And before, when I was younger, it was like, oh, I've got to finish the game. Like, that's the thing. That's the mission, is finish the game. Like, I think everybody who came from those early Genesis, Super Nintendo things, all the games were about finishing them. And then the Skyrim was that first one. It was like, I don't have to finish this. I can live in this world whenever I want. And that's what I want. I want an escape from my fucking world, my life, anytime I want, And that's when my whole life changed to, like, I never want to finish a game. My favorite games are the games I'm never going to get to the end of, that there will always be something new in, because those are the games I love. Those are the games that are just always comfort for me. Like, I get to go in and do something new there. We've already gotten off topic, but it's one of the things that kind of killed me on Borderlands. Borderlands, actually, for me, is one of my my big mistakes, my big ball drops of the year, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Well, Wonderlands. I shouldn't say Borderlands. Wonderlands.
Oh, right.
I think overall, it's not a bad game for anybody just playing through the story, just enjoying that story, maybe a little bit after that story. You're not going to hate it. A casual Wonderlands or Borderlands player is going to enjoy Wonderlands. They're probably going to enjoy it more than the other games. And the game had a lot going for it at launch. It has a lot of really cool new features. I think as a returning Borderlands player who wanted that, like, balanced end game, they really fucked that up for me and ruined a lot of things. And when I'm working to something and I realize that the thing that I'm working to is useless, it just takes the wind right out of my sails. Like, it takes the wind right out of my sails. Like, somebody's like, here's the thing, even if I was never going to do that thing that they say I can't do, the fact that I'm building it and I can't do it, and I've put all this time into it, it's like a gut punch to me. So Wonderlands kind of screwed that up. They went back to those old mistakes. For me, that was one of the bungles of the year. So this has started really weird since we wanted to go positive. And it started negative. But, I mean, I'm not trying to insult your positivity on it at all.
Oh, yeah. No, well, it's such a weird... Because it's hard to approach this year in a normal, organized fashion, just because of how it's transpired. Because I'm sure we'll get super deeper into it as we continue talking about it. But, like, this year was set up to be like, this is one of those iconic years. What was it like? I think it was 2016.
Yeah,
was
like
one of the years that was always referred to as like an iconic year, with just banger after banger after banger every single month. And I mean, we did have stuff like Elden Ring. Like, I have not played it. I mean, it's a very well received game. Elden Ring came out. Like I said, we got Horizon, everything like that. And then we had the year stacked, and of course things change. But I mean, we'll get to that part. I'm trying so hard to stick to the positive.
Well, the first part of this year,
rails.
I think that the whole stack thing that's just never going to happen again. It's unrealistic for the things to align. And I think everybody who gets excited about that, it's like, especially before the year has even started, when people are like, 2022 is going to be the best year. And you're just like, man, how long have you been playing gaming? Like, half that shit isn't coming out. But aside from that, I think that, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I think Elden Ring was a huge win. Even though I haven't played it, I don't know that I ever will play it. I can tell a quality game when I see it in Elden Ring. Is that Horizon was another one, even though I didn't play it. I think those were two great AAA releases, which was nice. But I'm not going to lie, with the exception of from Nintendo, my Nintendo one is Kirby, actually. I actually have it on my Game of the Year. I'm still playing it, to be honest. It's got that much depth to it, and I just wasn't expecting that from a Kirby game. It's actually grabbed me quite a bit, and I'm just enjoying the shit out of it. Gotta mention Sifu. I mean, for me...
Yeah, that was a big one for you, I know.
Yeah, for me right now, that's the perfect game. It was everything they promised from the start. They've added some stuff to it. I'm very excited about their next update, which comes in like October-ish, where they add like new modes and stuff. yeah, Sifu's the winner for me. Like, to have a game like that come out and just be exactly what it is. It's so quality. I mean, I put so many hours into that game. Like absolutely great. And that's another kind of independent one. Also, I gotta mention TMNT. It's possibly the greatest brawler ever made. And from a guy who is a avid brawler fan, like, that's a big win in my opinion. Also, speaking from the heart, I gotta say, one that's really impressed me is Grounded. We're about to see its full release this year, which that's one of the things we have to look forward to on the back half now, is that we're actually getting a full release with a big, massive update. But this game has been around for, 3 years now? And it's just been, I mean, it started buggy, but it was still fun.
It started buggy.
Okay, are you going to make that joke literally every time? Because you've done that like 3 podcasts.
I guess I have. Kayla tells me I do that sort of stuff all the time. I make jokes and make statements and observations constantly. They don't register in my head.
I think that it started rough, but it was still a fun, interesting premise, and they really did games as service correctly. And more so early access correctly. Like, hey, this is the product. We're a small team. We can't make it what we want right now, but we want you guys to play it. Here it is. They put it in Games Pass. You did have to pay for it on the other, which I don't like. But other than that, they have consistently listened to fans. They have upgraded that game through fan support and have really made that game into a playground for anybody who plays it.
I'm trying to think too. I mean, I don't know if it necessarily counts. It's something that I've kind of, I guess, discovered starting this year, but I mean, it's had updates and stuff too somehow. But I'd even text you before we come on for this, Stardew Valley. I've been sucked into that game. That game came out 5-7 years ago, something like that.
It's still trucking though, man. It's a good game.
But it is. It's still trucking. It's one single dude, and he's still here and there, throwing stuff out. I feel like it is the superior Animal Crossing game.
I mean, I like Animal Crossing and not that one, so I'm going to disagree. But I'm going to recognize game here. I think it's a quality game. It's a good game made. I mean, Animal Crossing would be perfect if I could F the animals.
But I mean, I guess we can kind of start talking a little bit about the stuff that hasn't necessarily hit that's come out. I mean,
all right.
You had mentioned already with Tiny Tina's, it wasn't necessarily what you were, thinking it was going to be.
Well, it was a hard slope for me. It was everything I wanted it to be at the beginning.
Okay, yeah.
And then it dropped off, real fast.
I know Far Cry 6 was one of those that everybody was ready for, awaiting, and it came out and surprising everybody for some reason. It's just another Far Cry game with Far Cry stuff. Climb the tower, do the thing, open the map, go to the place.
I have no idea why anybody thought that game was going to be anything other than that with the chicken guy in it.
Yeah, and then that horrible campaign that they started doing with having dude emailing you and basically calling you a shitty player for not gaming.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, that was I get they were trying to do a thing there, but man, I don't know. And then I know one that's come out, and we've talked about Sonic so many freaking times, but I just want to throw it out there. This Sonic Origins.
Well, that was going to be an odds and ends. I'll mark it off. We can talk about it now. Sonic Origins is a huge fucking botch. It is one of the greatest mistakes Sega has ever made. Not only did they delist the games that were already good, they released this remastered version, and now it's coming out that the company that made it, which is the famous Sonic Mania company, was we had nothing to do with any of the bugs. They changed a bunch of our code in transit. We gave them the game, they changed stuff and put it out, and now we're getting blamed for it. They're hey, they're also saying that there was a ton of stuff that we wanted to correct, but they wouldn't let us correct. Sega shut us down on everything because they just wanted to get it out the door. It's a nightmare. Sonic Origins is a nightmare. It is, and it's a full price game, which is insane too. Like, it's an absolute train wreck, the whole Sonic Origins thing, and it's shameful what they did with that. I mean, especially delisting the old ones to put out that piece of shit for 3 times the price is real classy bullshit right there.
And shoveling all of the DLC add-on BS based off of pre-orders and stuff like that. I mean, this is now a theme.
Yeah.
Because I think it also came out this year. It was very close to the holiday season last year. The Grand Theft Auto trilogy.
Yep. And we talked about it being the same shit. Yep.
Same exact situation. You have perfectly functional and comparatively superior versions of like remasters and stuff like that listed individually or in other collections. And you want to half-ass the situation, half-ass, or, you know, not even half-ass in some cases, just like change a bunch of shit in Sega's case to make it do whatever it is that they were trying to achieve by changing things, or like not letting Headcanon finish everything off that they wanted to. But like now you get this bad taste, an even worse taste in people's mouths because you're intentionally going and delisting the other games.
Yeah.
When I'll be completely honest, I mean, we've bought these games in collections every single generation.
Yeah.
I have the Sonic collections from all the way from back when they had it on the PlayStation 2, I have it on the Xbox 360 generation. I bought them individually on the Xbox One. And now they want to put it, you know, as this other for the new generation Series X. I'm sure it'll be on the regular Xbox One and everything with this, you know, Sonic collection being all half-assed. And I don't know why all these companies want to keep doing this. I'm sure there's more in the pipeline too.
Oh yeah,
more other remakes, remasters, and they're going to do the same exact thing. And I don't know why they insist on doing this, other than just money. I mean, I know why it's money, but
Look, I'm going to be extremely cynical here. I don't necessarily mind the idea of this because look, I mean, I don't like the fact that I have to pay for a game a second time and you're delisting them. That sucks, but on like a financial money point, you want to make a new one, you want to add some stuff to it, make it nice, and put it out. You can't have the old one sitting there for half the price. You just can't.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me. And honestly, I don't mind like a lot of these games I wait 3 or 4 generations. So like this Sonic Origins would have been a prime example of a good time for me to purchase the new Sonic games with all the new cutscenes and features and stuff. What I don't like about this is that they are releasing them half-assed for money and delisting the original products. If you want to do this, that's fine. I'm all right with it. Remaster them, bring them back out for the new generation, fine. Stop making us pay full price, the same price at least that we paid 10 fucking years ago, 20 years ago, and stop releasing them in shit-ass bullshit conditions, because it just makes you look bad and it makes people not buy the product that you want. I mean, you could have made more money just leaving the old ones in Steam and slowly just bled off more money that way. Now you're going to get this initial hit of cash and then it's going to be gone because nobody's going to go back to Sonic Origins. And like, how often do those things get updates? They don't. They usually they get released and they're done. I mean, Rockstar has already said they're not going to give any fucking updates to the trilogy, and the trilogy is a nightmare, and you can't get any of those games in their original form anymore. That kind of stuff, it just locks you down. And Rockstar isn't going to make any money because of that. That's what they don't understand, is it's such a an initial, I'm sure that they made a big bump of cash right then and there from that sale. They're not going to make any money off of it from that point forward because it's fucking broken. Nobody wants to play broken games. Whereas if you had left the other ones up and not released this, people would just keep buying them every so often, every couple of years. You know what I mean? You'd still get this bleed of constant cash. Not as great as that big injection, but the long term, you'd make more money that way. And that's why it's dumb. Like, you need to at least release them in playable condition, or nobody's going to purchase your new remake. You know, if you want to do remakes, if you want to do this, and you want me to buy in, I'm not going to hate you for doing it. I am going to hate you for delisting the original games and making shit versions of it. Like, if you want me to buy it, fine. Just make a quality game, you know? And they were quality in the first place. That's the other thing I don't understand. How the fuck do the games work in the first place, and you port them over and they're broken? Like, that's insane to me.
And from what I understand, they've also added de novo DRM to them too. So that just adds another layer of shit onto everything.
Yep.
But I mean, that's kind of like the climate that we're in is like with Call of Duty. I don't know. I mean, I could be completely wrong on this. Okay. But like the next Call of Duty is Modern Warfare 2. I don't know if it's like a reimagining of Modern Warfare 2 or like literally like a sequel to the first original remaking of Modern Warfare, as confusing as that sounds.
Yeah.
But like, you know, we have that sort of stuff, and then they've been talking about their new version of Warzone that's going to be coming out this year. And from everything that I have personally heard about it, they're not going to honor any sort of purchases or anything like that that have been made in the first Warzone. So instead of just updating the standard Warzone or, you know, whatever sort of plan that they could have been doing with that, you push that along into, you know, into like making people buy all this same shit again.
See, and that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. That should be a class action lawsuit.
Especially with a live service game.
Yeah.
A strict live service game.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, even speaking of that too, we've got Diablo Immortal. Diablo Immortal has come out like that. There, like nobody wanted this game. Even the people, when it got announced, everybody booed, and their reaction was to say, "What? You guys don't have cell phones?" Like that's the issue that people had.
Right.
And it has been just an absolute shit show. YouTubers literally spending thousands of dollars on this game, on streams, on Let's Plays, to try to get something that's valuable. And of course, they're not getting it until like there was one story I had read. Somebody spent, it was like $3,000 or $15,000 to get some epic gem and got so pissed when he finally got it because of the amount of money that he had to spend. He just like erased it or whatever. Stuff like that, you know. And then we have Diablo 4 is apparently coming out this year. I guess we can kind of.
And how could you have any faith?
What's supposed to be coming?
I was going to say, how could we have any faith that Blizzard won't do the same thing to the console, like the big name AAA release?
You know for a fact, when 3 came out, it had an in-game auction house. And from what I understand, it could function on real cash too. Yeah. Like I don't know how that whole thing worked, but like,
well, if we're in Blunder Central on Blizzard, you know, I guess I'll break another one of my odds and ends, but I think it's a huge blunder what they're doing with Overwatch 2. I don't know if you heard about this.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Overwatch 2 is going to replace Overwatch 1. Overwatch, which has been an esports standard since it came out, will be replaced. All of your progress will have to move over to Overwatch 2. And who knows, and I'm guessing none of the shit that you've purchased on Overwatch 1 will carry over, will transfer to Overwatch 2. I mean, hell, it's a different game. Like, it's 4v4 instead, or 5v4. I don't know. It's a different number of people versus people for the baseline. I can't imagine that any of your shit carries over. So that right there is kind of like, oh, great. The games as service is being replaced. You're putting a 2 next to it, even though it's the same game, and I don't get to keep any of the stuff, you know. So yeah, that's a big blunder, big terrible blunder, and definitely worthy of not so good this year.
Did you ever see Free Guy?
Yeah, oh yeah. It's an amazing movie. I watched it like 3 times.
Yeah, it's literally the evil developer guy. Like one of the programmers asks when they're developing the sequel for the game, he's like, well, what about all the people who spent all this money on the first version? What are we going to do then? Well, tell them there's a 2 in front of the new one.
Right.
That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a huge trend. It's a huge, terrible trend. Yeah.
So, I mean, then I guess we're in that sticky, muddy realm at this point. So we may as well like talk about like the back half and how this year has gone. So like,
well, hold on a second. I do want to say one more positive.
Oh, you got another thing? Okay.
I got one more positive, and that's Game Pass. It continues to chug along. Yeah. I mean, aside from my feelings on Phil Spencer, Microsoft as a company, any of the other stuff, Game Pass still continues to be the greatest value in gaming. And even though you have predicted it, it has not raised its price in any way, shape, or form, nor is there any sign of it raising its price. But yet we are now getting even bigger games into it. We've got Naraka just dropped into it. And then there's a ton more games announced for the back half coming into it. The TMNT obviously is on it. I think that like Game Pass continues to be the best value in gaming, and it continues to be like a shining bastion of gaming as far as I'm concerned. And something else that I want to say that I noticed the other day, they are routinely better at coding their games so that they take up less space on your computer. That's something crazy that I noticed because I play Naraka on Steam, or I did for a really long time. Obviously, nobody played it with me, which I get. It was a battle royale that you had to pay more money for, and who wants to do that? But now that it was in Game Pass, I had some friends that wanted to play with me. Naraka, unfortunately, their crossplay does not actually include PC to PC stuff. It includes you can play on with console Xbox people if you play it on Game Pass. Or from the Microsoft store, but you can't, like if I'm on Steam, even though I will play with their characters, I can't party up with their characters, I can't be in a party with their characters, which is really stupid and annoying. But, that being said, I decided, you know what, even though I've put like hundreds of hours into the original Naraka, I'll go on to Game Pass and play with them just because I want to play as a group. I'll start over. So, I noticed through the process of switching, the Naraka version on Steam took up 47 gigabytes of hard drive space. The Game Pass version took up 21.
Oh.
Yeah, it's half the amount. That's half. That's over half. And so like that Game Pass just they're doing it, and they're doing it right. In my opinion. And I think positive-wise, it's definitely a positive we should look at.
And you compare that to Sony, who just launched their version, and, I mean, it keeps getting worse and worse to the point now, I can't remember if we had mentioned it or not before, but now Sony is considering making all of those the PS Plus year subscriptions. Originally, they were going to say, hey, pay the difference, and you can have it for, this year or, whatever, and you're good. I had read an article the other day that they are potentially considering just making those completely unusable here soon. To the point that it's going to say, hey, you better pay us extra money, or else you're just throwing the money that you already paid away. Mm-hmm. And I know Kayla's one cousin, we were talking about it the other day, because he actually did that. He bought the PlayStation Plus and paid that difference to have the top tier version of it. And I mean, it gets you basically the same kind of discounts that you would get for buying the games on Xbox, like for having gold.
Right.
It's the same sort of thing. You're not getting any sort of crazy ass discounts. Yeah, you can, download the games and, play, trials and demos and stuff like that. Yeah, sure. I'm sure it's okay. But, you put Xbox's library of Game Pass compared to the Sony Plus Ultimate Super Edition or whatever the hell they're calling it now, next to each other, and Xbox beats them out.
Well, and you look at the way they've presented it too. Like I said, I'm Microsoft and Phil Spencer are not my favorite people or company right now, but they present Game Pass as a favor to you, and they go out of their way to do that. Whereas PlayStation presents it as a fuck you every chance they get. They took away your backwards compatibility so that they could lock it behind this feature. They made it impossible to use those cards to to buy this thing. They made all these insane tiers that are complex, and when asked routinely, are you going to do this? No. Are you going to do this? No. Are you going to do this? No. Whereas Game Pass is either yes or maybe every time they're asked anything. And I think that, like, while on the whole, like I said, Microsoft and Phil, not my favorite people, Game Pass plays it better. They just do. They've got that, the way to market it, the way to show it to people locked down to where every time they show Game Pass, it's like, and hell, even their showcases where I think are kind of misses, such as this last Starfield Bethesda one, I thought there was a lot of misses in that. They still can show that graphic at the end of it, which has 24 plus games coming to Game Pass this year and 20 plus games coming to Game Pass next year. And that's huge. That's a huge win for them every chance they get, and a huge loss for Sony when Sony can't even get their shit together to advertise that thing right.
So, I mean, that's kind of a perfect segue too into like this year. Now, there's been a lot of other stuff that has moved its way out of this year and are still weirdly considered possibly coming this year because we haven't heard anything otherwise.
Yeah.
I mean, so we have I still get pissed every single time I have to say it this way, but the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel that still does not have a title.
It's looking real rough that's coming out this year. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's not. It's already not. We talked about this, I believe.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, it did officially get pushed to next year.
Well, then it's out of this year. We don't have to talk about it.
Yeah, it's out of this year. So, I mean, that's the thing is, like, we've had a lot of stuff that was supposed to be a part of this year that had been, talked about for so long being a part of this year, and then at the last second can't make it. What do we have? Originally, when they showed Fable, they should have never done this, but if I remember correctly, that trailer showed 2022. Here we are in 2022. We've seen nothing of it since.
No, and that game isn't coming out for years. I don't even think that game's real at this point. I think that, like, I'm going to tell you the game that everybody should be most excited for. Skull and Bones, baby. Skull and Bones.
Skull and Bones.
Coming out in October.
Apparently coming this year.
They haven't said it. They haven't said it officially.
Well, yeah, but like
that's my prediction. I want to keep that. I want to keep that very out there so that when it does come out this year, I can be right. It was my prediction that it's coming this year. Nobody has said it's coming this year. We know that there was a playable alpha. There was a beta. We saw some footage from it that leaked. And every time they do these leaks, they release the game very soon after. So I think we're going to get some Skull and Bones here this year.
We also have God of War Ragnarok.
That's not happening this year.
I'm starting to believe it's not because, there were rumors I had seen that the 30th of this month. So, I mean, today is the 26th. So 4 days from now, they're apparently supposed to have a state of play that focuses exclusively on that. I don't buy that.
I'll be pleasantly surprised.
I'll be pleasantly surprised if it does show up. It's not. That's the thing is Sony had their shot. They had their big state of play, and it wasn't there. And I believe I had made mention of if it's not there, it's not coming this year. Same sort of situation with Starfield. If we didn't see gameplay, there's no way in shit it's coming next year.
Right.
So I mean, we had that.
I think that God of War. I think we are going to get something for it before the end of the year, and that thing will end much like the Horizon thing did, where it was like, and just because of all this stuff you've seen, now that you're excited, it's actually going to be coming in 2023. I think that I'll put a pizza on it. I'll put a pizza on it that it's not coming this year, 100%.
I don't think it's coming this year.
Okay,
either.
All right. I didn't know if you want to take them odds or not.
I want to believe that they've stuck to it, but at the same time, I mean, I guess it's just the difference between Guerrilla and Santa Monica. Because Guerrilla was very much last year, they were like, hey, we really want to make it by the end of the year, but there's no guarantees. So they were very open about the fact that, hey, we may have to push it back. And we have heard literally nothing about God of War. We've not seen all but an initial announcement trailer and a little bit of like cutscene gameplay sort of stuff. Outside of that, we've not got no release window, but they keep like claiming that it's going to be this year. So I don't think it's coming at all this year. But like, there's something like what does Nintendo have?
Well, Nintendo did an entire direct on Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I don't know how popular they think that game is, but apparently they really think it's enough to carry the whole show. They are doing another Nintendo Direct for third-party studios, but... Yeah,
I saw that too. Like,
And Mario Battle Strikers didn't set the world on fire, though I hear it was a good game. But the thing is like, everything I saw about it, like, I wanted to get it, but everything I saw about it, it's so multiplayer driven. Yeah. And, like, on a level that, like, I don't know 50 people to play soccer with on Mario, you know? Like, I don't, like, they want you to have, like, 15 friends to be in a club together, and I'm like, I have 15 friends, especially not on Nintendo, which is an infamously terrible system for playing multiplayer games in. They don't even have Bluetooth support at this point. It's nearly impossible to plug headphones in. I don't think there's a way to plug a mic into it, so I have no fucking idea why they keep pushing multiplayer stuff on us, but they do.
I thought they just added Bluetooth support.
They did. They just added Bluetooth, but I still don't think you can, like... I don't think there's any chat support for anything.
No, you have to download an app on your phone.
Which is insane. So I have to pull out my phone to play the multiplayer game with, you know what I mean? Like, it's just that kind of stuff. Like, why would you push a multiplayer game on us? Why wouldn't you, like, go really in depth on the single player part of that? Which you could have, even though it's an arcade sport game. But they didn't, and I don't know why they did that. Like, don't get me wrong. I like the multiplayer being there. It's just... It's not the best. Look, Fall Guys came out on Switch and it came out on my PC. I downloaded it on both, and I tell you, man, it works way better on PC. It's not even like holding a candle, you know? And it's just because the Switch, I mean, unless you got the OLED, you don't have a hookup to it. So any of these games, like, you have to communicate on such a level. Like, it takes forever to load anything. It's wireless, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, so, I mean...
Personally, games that I think are coming this year that I am kind of excited for, Redfall looks really good. I also really enjoyed Nightingale, even though I don't... They still say it's coming this year, even though I don't know. The messaging seems really fucking off to me. And I'm going to say it again.
Or something like that.
Midnight Fight Express looks really good. Really good to me. Towards the end of August. And then, of course, the Grounded full release. I think that I mean, it can't be overlooked that that's being a full release. I know it's been out for 3 years in early access, but I think the full release and actually getting cutscenes and a full story, I think will really make that game a contender, personally, for Game of the Year, in my opinion. So, I don't know. I mean, I think Elden Ring is going to be the Game of the Year for all
of that. Oh, yeah.
We're the only people... We're the only people
Winter
who are
not. Fest. It's gonna sweep.
We're the only people who aren't gonna make that Game of the Year, and the only reason we're not is none of us have played it. So like
I'm
it's
not adverse to it. It's one of those that's like, I'm curious about this game. I'm not gonna spend $60/$70 depending on what you buy it on. Just to give a game a shot. I'm gonna wait till Black Friday when it's like $20-$30.
Well, we're at 50 minutes. You want to jump into odds and ends, or is there anything else you want to add in here?
You know what? I was just gonna cap it off with one little thing here.
Sure.
If we were to give this year a report card, a grade for a report card, I guess maybe like our midterm sort of grade, what would you give this year?
Well, I definitely give the first half of this year A minus, if I'm not considering the second half, just because of the releases that have really spoke to me, and even the ones who haven't, I can tell that they're quality releases that people enjoy. I think also you've had a lot of really great updates and quality of life stuff for games that already exist. I think the first half of this year has been great. However, looking at the the future, I think you're going to average out to probably like a B-, just because there's not a ton coming in the back half, and there's also a lot of shit going on right now that's going to impact that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly myself personally, I'm leaning somewhere closer to a B-. Just because like the first half has had some good stuff, but at the same time, there's been some stuff that either was supposed to be a bit better than it was, or just completely just flubbed out, and we're still making the same mistakes on stupid shit that kind of takes away from that. And that's, of course, completely ignoring the rest of the year. I think depending on how the rest of the year goes, maybe if we get some like super surprises for the back half of the year, I might stick it closer to the B, or like solidify it at a B. But I mean, I'm kind of leaning towards a B- right now.
I think we're in a really interesting time in gaming, because I think year by year, month by month, it gets more visible even to people who don't podcast and stay in gaming more, that the AAA companies get farther and farther away from the mark of what consumers want, and the mark of quality for consumers, while the indies get closer and closer to hitting the thing. I mean, that's something that's crazy to me, is like, it's like they just keep making mistakes, but they keep making bigger mistakes. They never learn from them, and they just keep getting farther and farther away. There are very few AAA games that look even remotely good to me, while the indie games just seem to keep upping their game higher and higher and getting more and more quality, and hitting those notes of what they're just listening to people so much more. And I think we're at an interesting point of gaming, where in the next couple of years, if the AAA studios keep doing this, they're going to bottom out, because they're going to start hitting these. You're going to start seeing sales drop. They've already said on a lot of games that sold well that they missed their mark. So, like, you're going to have this point where it's like, well, that game is just a microtransaction fuckfest. Why would I spend that? Whereas I can go over here to your games like Stardew Valley, or your games like, TMNT, the smaller quality games, and play those. So I think we're in a really interesting time in gaming. Not a positive, interesting time, but an interesting time in the next couple of years.
For sure.
Let's hit the odds and ends.
Alrighty.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right. So that brings us to odds and ends, our final segment of the night. That is where we tell you smaller stories that don't necessarily deserve a talking point. We riff on them and want to let you know about them, stuff like that. Just give you the shindigs, the news. I have 2 left after our talking point kind of cut a bunch out. Neil has 3, so Neil, why don't you start us off?
Yeah,
and don't steal one of mine. I only got 2 left.
So, well, in the continuing story saga of Babylon's Fall, on June 16th.
Was it like half a person now? Half a person count?
June 16th, Babylon's Fall officially hit, for a brief moment, 0 concurrent players.
I don't know what to do about that, guys. Well, when's the first update scheduled?
I think it either came out or is coming out very soon.
I mean, bring it out, see what happens, but
let me see if I can pull it up here real quick.
Look, I have a hard time with this. I've spoken my mind on the Babylon's Fall so many times. I have a hard time on this, because one part of me is like, what are we doing here? Another part of me is like, I don't like it when companies give up on games. That being said, if no one is playing your game, you're not really giving up on it. The people have given up on it. I don't know where to fall on this. I really don't.
Let me see. So I do have an article pulled up here that was published May 23rd from Rock, Paper, Shotgun. Babylon Falls Season 2 update is being extended to reevaluate the game's future.
There it is.
So, yeah, I mean, there has to be a point, man.
Look, I think there should be a point. I've never said there's not a point. It's just I have been a player who has played games that I see potential in, that I love, that get killed just because they're not right off the bat as popular, or right off the bat they hit a speed bump. So I don't like to see companies give up. That being said, I think there's definitely should be a point to give up. I definitely think so. Hitting 0 players, I don't necessarily think you're betraying any fans at that point, because there are no fans. They've all left. They're not there anymore. Who are you betraying at that point? You know what I mean? Like, if I stopped creating YouTube videos because I had no views on my YouTube videos, who's going to be upset about that? You know what I mean? Like, so I like, part of me, like I said, I was an Anthem fan. I was a Mass Effect Andromeda fan. Both of those games got killed because of speed bumps in the road. And I love those games. I know that is not a popular opinion, but I did. I loved those games, and they are dead. And I will never be able to play them again because people, like, really just, like, they hit speed bumps and they weren't willing to continue on them. That being said, those games had player base up until the point where they died. Like, it wasn't a big player base, but it was still a player base. This game has no player base. Like, 0 player base.
Yeah, I'm looking here on Babylon's Fall, the official Twitter. Mm-hmm. The second season started May 31st. So
it's done. They did an update then. They did an update. They already did the update. They tried. Yeah, so it didn't work. They've got to walk away from it. I mean, again, it's a Square Enix game. So Square Enix is a terrible publisher. I'm sure that they did some shit to this company to make this game crappy. I mean, okay, so is it my turn?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so this was a crazy one, and kind of counterintuitive to everything that we know about gaming, especially AAA games, but it has been said now, it has come out from FromSoft, the makers of Elden Ring, we talked about in this episode, your Dark Souls, all of those. They have come out and said that not only is their next game already in post-production, but they have multiple games being worked on, multiple titles being worked on right now, which is insane to me, because I want to point out, guys, Elden Ring came out this year. So for them to be in post-production on another game, meaning it's probably going to come out next year, that's insane. Because FromSoft, from what I know, is not that big a company. So for them to not only have that, but also be like, we're also working on other titles, is crazy to me. Crazy to me.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not even just them working on other titles. It's just the fact that they that they are just cruising along, because they have traditionally been like one of those companies that only puts something out like maybe every 3 years. Like, they only ever really work on something, like one thing at a time, and then once it goes into post-production, it's just in polish, they start really chugging along on the next one. So that leads me to believe they've expanded their staff.
It worries me a little bit, honestly, because one thing about FromSoft is, while Elden Ring did have its bugs, as a AAA game of that size, overall, it was a pretty quality out the gate sort of game. All of their games have been kind of quality on that level. So is that what we're looking at? Are we looking at a quality dump now? Because if that's what we're looking at, then everybody who loves Elden Ring, I'm happy for you, because that's the last one that you're going to love, and that's going to suck. But, I mean, I don't know. It's real weird for them to suddenly be like, we're ramping up all of our production, you know?
Yeah, that's honestly, that's something that I'm kind of like feeling around with too, with this whole situation. Like, yeah, I feel like if they do start to try to like crank more of these games out, the quality is going to go down. There's going to be burnout, because that's the thing. Is like, you always had like the Souls likes, the clones, but every time a new Souls game came out, it had that refined feeling of a Souls game, whether or not it's for you one way or another. Like, like you've heard of it, you know what it is, you know the basics of it. But if they start turning into like, I don't know, like Activision with like a yearly release schedule, like they had been doing with Call of Duty up until after this year, they won't be doing yearly releases anymore, apparently.
This is the last one.
That's what they say. I'm sure they'll take 1 year off and then they'll get Microsoft money and just start slamming through them again. But yeah, that's kind of what the vibe I'm getting to is over time here, relatively soon, the idea of a Souls game is going to start wearing off more and more and more. Yeah. And then you're going to have like an Obsidian come along and start doing the Souls games like they used to be. And then it's going to be the new gold standard.
Yep. So we'll have to see what happens here. I will say, as an old school fan, I'd love to see one of these be Armored Core. We'd love to see that come back.
Yeah, everybody's been calling for a Bloodborne 2. I don't know if you're actually going to get that or not.
See, I've seen everybody being calling for an Armored Core.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I've seen. All the buzz has been Armored Core. So it's interesting. I don't know if you're going to get either one of those things. We'll have to see.
It's true.
Your next one, man.
All right. Vicarious Visions did that Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake, and it was pretty well received. Everybody was about it. And they had been wondering, if they're going to be a Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3-4 remake. Well, when Tony Hawk was asked about this, he said, apparently, yes, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 remake was in the works at Vicarious Visions until the merger with Activision. And then Activision just threw it away.
Yep.
And it's gone, and you're never going to get it at all, ever. So fuck you and everything you like, I guess, is basically what it boils down to. Yeah. Like, what's the reasoning for that? Did it not sell enough copies? Because, I thought it did relatively well for,
I don't know.
It was and everything. I didn't play it. I loved those games back in the day. I always wanted to try it out to see if it still felt the same. But I guess maybe the game is just a product of its time, that it may not be a format that works here and now today anymore. Or, maybe it's just Activision being Activision. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that Activision has a specific thing they want a company to work on before they ever even purchase something.
Yeah.
And they purchased, Vicarious Visions, and that was that. I think that, I don't know about the sales. I don't think they're going to share that information with Tony Hawk.
No. No.
But that being said, I don't know. Maybe they just didn't see a point in doing that, Who knows?
Right.
Who knows? All right, so my last one, and this should have been in the things we're excited for towards the end of the year, but I just wanted to save my other odds and ends for odds and ends. There's a game I'm very excited for, although I actually don't think it's coming out this year. So there's an announced trailer for it. It's called Hyenas. It looks really cool as far as a games as service multiplayer game. Very excited about it. It's PvP versus PvPvE. And what it is, so basically there's it's futuristic space stuff, but it's the 1%ers have control everything. So what you do is you play on a team of 3 and you're a pirate, and you're basically robbing a freighter, basically. So the freighter is procedurally generated rooms, and each one of the rooms can have crazy shit in them. Some of them can have 0G, some of them can have weird space traps, everything. You're one of 5 teams that jack into the spaceship at different points on the spaceship. So, you get to enter at a certain point, the other 4 get to enter at some certain point, and then inside there's security that you have to fight out of. You have to fight out the other stuff while you're robbing, and then you have to get off the ship. But of course, if you meet the other teams, you have to fight them for the loot and stuff. This is a game I would have pitched. 100% back at Horrible Arena, I would have pitched something like this. It just sounds so fucking interesting and cool. I'm really hoping I can find a couple people to play it with me when the time comes for that to come out, because it just sounds so interesting. Like a weird train robbery in space game. And I love the crazy zero-G fights. So you can fight weird traps and stuff. Just go look it up. Hyenas. They did like a announced. It wasn't an announced trailer, but it had, because it had some gameplay in it. But it just looks so interesting to me. So interesting as far as those kinds of games go.
Yeah, that does sound very
Doesn't
interesting.
It really does. Like, and I love the idea that, like, yes, there's other. I love PvP versus E. Like, I really do, because PvP is fine, but it gets so sweaty. Whereas PvP versus E, you could go in there and never meet up with another player. You know what I mean? Like that could be. There's other moments in the game where, like, you can fight like big boss mechs and stuff. Sometimes you might end up having to fight with the other team to take down the big boss mech in order to survive long enough to kill the other people. You know, it's real, like, it just sounds so interesting to me, and I don't know, I really want to give it a shot when it comes out.
Yeah, when's that supposed to come out?
I have no idea.
Oh, well.
So there you go. That is how that is.
So my last one is a little bit interesting, and I kind of intentionally avoided talking about point because it kind of ties into this. So anybody who did end up playing that Sonic Origins collection may have noticed that playing through Sonic 3 in the Sonic 3 and Knuckles part of that game, that a lot of the music that was once there is gone and is replaced with something else. Well, come to find out, those replaced songs are like prototype tracks. They are not what you know anything remotely close. Well, there had been speculation
Michael Jackson
for a number of years that Michael Jackson did work on that soundtrack, but there was nothing ever confirmed. Well, finally, with that, coupled with an interview with Yuji Naka, finally we have absolute 100% confirmation that Michael Jackson did do composition for those tracks in Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Yeah. The urban legend is true.
Yeah, the urban legend is true. And I think it's so freaking awesome. But at the same time, that just twists the knife a little bit more in that collection.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, something like that is outside of their control. I understand, rights, stuff like that, his estate. If it's out of their control, it's out of their control. I get that.
The original game that they delisted had those tracks, though.
Yes, it did. The original game that they delisted had it, all of the other collections. So if you want those real MJ bangers in your Sonic the Hedgehog 3, that's what you want to go and play, not Sonic Origins. But yes, I read that and I was like, I think I actively squealed with joy whenever I read that, because I loved that rumor, because it was like, wow, I really noticed that influence. Like, all of the songs had like weird pop sort of sounds, and in fact, like a glass break sound was even in the Carnival Night Zone showed up in one of his other songs, and it was like, oh, this is proof, but nobody had real proof. Now there's actual confirmation from Yuji Naka himself that Michael Jackson did the music for that game.
I mean, it is one of the things that I hate about stuff like that. Like when I went to play Halo 2 with you and Blow Me Away and Follow were not in there. I was like, this sucks. Like, this ruined my life. I think if you listen to those whole series, the Halo Infinite Wars, start to finish, I think that's when I really started to be like, no, I fucking hate these games. Like, no, I'm done. All right, well, is that your last one, man?
Yeah, that was my last odds and
ends. Wrapping this shit up early, baby. I do want to get a little addendum. I looked it up while you were talking. Hyena's release date hasn't officially been revealed yet, but we have a vague release window of sometime in 2023. However, players can get their hands on early game already, as there will be an alpha taking place before release that you can sign up for now on the game's website. So there you guys go. So it's at least in a condition where releasing it next year would be possible. So there's that.
Cool.
All right. So we're gonna take a little break. We'll come back with plugs and we'll wrap this sucker up.
All right.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, everybody, that brings us to the end of the show and the shameless self-promotion that comes with it. Man, we got done a little bit earlier today. Neil, anything you want to plug special?
Not particularly. I mean, I'm doing this here all the time. I mean, we're doing the Let's Play
That's my boy.
game.
That's my boy.
The wrestling.
That's
game.
my boy.
I mean, I have to say, especially after our last session that we did last evening, I am not an individual who knows anything at all about wrestling at all. I know 100% zero, but this game is designed in such a way that you can very much just kind of jump in. You don't necessarily need to know anything. How you play the game, it just feels great. It feels fun every single time we play it. I enjoy playing this game thoroughly. And last night, like I said, how long was that last night? It was like 40 minutes. It was
long. You guys had the match of the week. So
it was insanity.
So for everybody out there, we will be releasing these possibly on Old Man Gaming. We are doing live plays of it. I'm editing it together so that basically there'll be a promo and a match in each episode of different characters in the same league. And there's going to be 4 in the first month of stuff, whatever. And we have one more to do. It's Phil's character versus Boston Brawler, which you're game mastering. No, Jay's game master.
I was about to say.
No, not you. Yeah. So, but yeah, your match was your game mastered match with Jay's character was pretty awesome. You are, of course, referring to Upper Hand, the wrestling role-playing game. We will be releasing it shortly. Well, not shortly. It'll be a couple of months. But I do want to say to everybody that the final copy is done. It's uploaded to the place that we're going to be selling it from. We are waiting on proofs for the actual physical softcover version to come in the mail to make sure that that's good. And we're probably going to have I'm not going to name them yet because this isn't 100% set in stone, but there is a well-known game reviewer out there who has showed interest in reviewing this game. So we'll have them do that before we release it. Nonetheless, it was very exciting for me to upload the digital copy because even though it is not live yet, it does mean that if I were to die tomorrow, somebody could hit a button and sell my game so I can officially call myself a game designer, which I have been waiting 40 years to say that instead of when somebody's like, what do you do? Well, I'm kind of a house dad / a part-time child care. My wife went back to work and I got to take care of the kids. But, we meant it that way. It's cool. I can finally say, I'm a game designer. I design games. And Neil, so the live play show, I'm going to go ahead and just go into my plugs unless there was something you were going to add, sir.
No, I mean, I was actually, the only thing I was actively going to say is, I mean, you're guaranteed going to make money because I will absolutely buy a copy, a hard copy whenever it comes.
Even though he's got a copy. You're such a sweetheart. Such a sweetheart. I didn't pay him to say or do any of this, what? Yeah, there's going to
be a book, right?
We're trying real hard.
I have the cards. I have the cards right here. I have the card set, but I want to get a book. I want to get an official rule book, so I have all the things for it.
Well, those are the shit cards, too. We updated the cards. There was actually a print mistake on those ones. It's supposed to have a white border on the outside and a black border on the inside. Yeah, so
I have the rare
edition ones. First edition ones, yeah.
Those will fetch quite a price on
I'll sign them for you and lower their value. Okay. So the live play show, we're going to be doing a live play show of it. I do not want to release it until we're at least 6 episodes ahead. We are right now 3 episodes ahead. So this will probably come out sometime in July. I'm going to guess mid-July, somewhere in there. Because we have to actually book again and then schedule again, which is a process. So yeah, but I do think Neil is playing. His lovely wife Kayla is playing. We've got another guy named Jay who's awesome. He's playing. And then Phil Billy, the Buildmaster General, is also playing. And I am playing. it's just a lot of fun because you don't necessarily need a game master. That's one of the best parts about this game is everybody kind of runs something. I will say that I'm, with my wrestling knowledge, helping everybody, but overall, everybody's game mastering, and that's one of the fun parts about it, I think. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and yeah, that is the one thing too, is like, you know, it does help having some wrestling knowledge because like in playing the game, I don't know precisely what it is that I'm doing, or I even made a comment the other night. It's like, wow, it'd be kind of weird if I just, you know, say I do this same thing over and over again because reasons.
Yeah.
But I mean, let me be very clear about this. Like, it helps to have wrestling knowledge. It is in no way mandatory to have such knowledge to play the game.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. As far as everything else, we're still coming out with a lot of shows. Stella's show will be coming out sometime this week. I'm not exactly sure when, but I have 3 episodes in the bank for that. I also have a review for Fall Guys coming out at some point this week. We have the normal streams, and then I've got to plug it. We're still doing Axiom, Star Trek Axiom. If you want to watch it live on Twitch, it's on Aether Dios' stream, AETHERDUES. And then if you want to watch it, the VOD, come back here on Friday after, or come back here this Friday and we'll have it up. That's a live play where I game master the Star Trek game for 4 other people, and that's been a lot of fun so far. Very interesting stuff, honestly. So other than that, guys, we're going to get out of here. You guys can contact us on Facebook at OldManGamingDH, on Twitter at OldManGaming9. You can join our Discord, links in the description below. Influence us in all of our shows from there. You can also just comment below, and of course we'll read your stuff out on the show. And as long as you keep watching and listening, boys and girls, we'll try very hard to keep making it. See you guys next time. No, it's good. It's good. I like this show, and I needed a little palate cleanser from all the negativity we've been doing on like Starfield and Sonic and shit.
Yeah.
All right, going in. That's why I was never going to consider your Cyberpunk thing as the talking point. We'll cover that in odds and ends. I'm not doing that shit tonight. I'm not going 2 Starfields and then back to CDPR.
I'm not going to put that in my odds and ends.
Okay.
I think somebody may end up putting that as a comment or something for this next episode.
I mean, that's fine. I'm okay with it. Look, here's the thing. If you're at Thanksgiving dinner and you decide to secretly eat an apple pie and then they catch you for it and you say, well, Jimmy told me there was a second apple pie, it doesn't mean you didn't steal the whole fucking apple pie. There's no, like when you were like, maybe they're 15% now. No. You either lied or you didn't. They lied. They lied a lot and they deserve to be burned to the ground for it. Like, it's just that simple.
See, that's the thing, though, is don't get me wrong. Like I said, 100%, they are still liable. I mean, they themselves, if they were going to not take responsibility when they put out that apology video, would have been the time that they were like, hey, we know it wasn't up to snuff, but this other company told us X, Y, and Z. Right. They would have pointed the finger at that.
I don't,
because they caught so much bad shit for it.
I don't even think, I think this is all bullshit that they created. Like, I think they're manufacturing this now that the heat has died down and they've made Cyberpunk a little bit better and more, palatable. I think now that they're trying to build it back up, and I think they're using a reporter. They're using a show reporter to do that. That's personally what I think this is. I don't think any of this is true, and I think they're just being like, see, we weren't bad guys.
If I saw that report on, I don't know, some other, newsy sort of outlet, I'd just be like, yeah, whatever, it's probably some junk. But the fact that I saw that on Forbes,
I don't trust
all places.
I don't trust any of them. I don't trust any. They're all owned by companies, and they're all dominated by money. Yeah. There's no way. No way. I mean, Rupert Murdoch owns almost all the newspapers in the fucking world. No. I don't believe that shit at all. If they wanted to pay for a nice op-ed, they could pay for a nice op-ed. That's how that shit works.
I mean, that's fair.
I mean, the only people you could trust are the independents, and you really can't even trust them. Because then that would mean they're trusting us, and you can't trust us. All right, going in 3, 2, 1.
Nice bleak outlook on life.
All right, so that brings us to our talking points.
slide right in there with that. I don't even know if that part of it's gonna make it into this.
It's not. It was in the. I had this sign up already, so I couldn't go back.